In this video, we're going to show you a method for removing dents using heat. Now, normally I've used a oxyacetylene torch that works much better. This is the first time I ever tried one of these propane torches. I didn't have an oxyacetylene at my house, like you may not as well, but I got one of these and tried to use it. What I learned is these have to be upright. So I had to take the trunk lid off to where I could hold that upright. But anyway, I used it, and it doesn't work as well as a torch. I learned the flame is kind of it's bigger and not as focused as you can get the flame on the torch. But I'm using it, and what I'm doing is I'm going around the outside of this dent area, and it starts heating up the metal. And when metal heats, it expands, and as you get towards the center, it helps raise that dent. This is not recommended for newer cars. The metal is way too thin, so I wouldn't be trying this method on newer cars. And now what I'm doing is I'm tapping on it, kind of leveling out because it raises that metal. Then I'm going to get a body file and shave off the top surface to kind of see where I'm at, and if the dent's still there. This dent is really deep. It's bigger than a hell dent. But this works real well on older cars with hail damage. I've done jobs before on older vehicles and had hail damage, and the car was going to be repainted, and went around, and usually one time, you don't have to do it. I'm having to redo this one because it was didn't get it all the way out. But normally one time around, file it down, and it's ready for primer. And I've been able to do quite a few hail dents just in a couple of hours, and have the thing ready for primer and blocking out in paint. So this can be effective on older cars in the right dents. Now, one thing you do want to do, if you notice that the metal's sinking in instead of out, stop. It's not going to work for that dent unless you can get to the backside and push up on it with a dolly or something. But if it ever starts sinking in on you, that's not what you want. So I've did this again, and I'm kind of flattening out that metal just a little bit because it's high from the heat. And then I'm going to get my body file, and I'm going to file on it again to level it out to see where it's at. Now, this is the method I'm teaching you. It's an older method that I learned. I know usually when I have these type of videos, the PDR guys about have a heart attack, but I guarantee you, if you're painting a car anyway, like the ones I've done, there's no way you could do that amount of hail damage in just a couple of hours with PDR. But those are older cars, and it's going to be painted anyway. So still having some of that dent there. Again, if this was a oxyacetylene torch, a regular torch, that would probably have been out of there. But I'm doing it again to try to expand that metal to get that out. Just heating it up and kind of going towards the center. And repeat the process. I tapped it down, I'm following it again, and still showing just a little bit low, but it's not bad. You feel of it, it's just barely there. But we're going to go ahead and fix it up. To the time we're done with this, it's going to need just a little bit of primer, and it'll be ready. I'm going to go ahead and show you a different dent here. This was one that was not quite as bad as on the other end. It was probably more like a hail dent. You can see where that glossy spot is at right there. So going to use this method on this dent as well. So I'm going around. It's by an edge, so can't really go in a normal circle. So I'm kind of going back and forth some. But what I'm going to do is just expand. You can watch that metal raise, and don't let it scare you if it starts raising some, because when it cools, it'll go back down to where it was originally. But I'm raising that metal. When you start seeing it raise, kind of chase it to the center, and that's what pops that dent out. So I got this one raised, and I'm going to tap it with my hammer lightly. It looks like I'm just rubbing it, but I am kind of tapping it a little bit just to help flatten and level it out a little bit. And then I'm going to get the body file and go over it. And since the metal is still raised, it files real easy. And then when it cools, it'll go back to a flatter surface. And you can see on this one that it filed out real nice. And you can see that there's not any spots in this one. any spots of paint left behind. So this one is ready for prime and paint. Good method for the older cars with thick metal. Thinner metal, you may warp it and thin the metal by fouling. The wind died down, so you can probably hear me now. We'll kind of explain a little bit of what we did and what we're going to do from here. Kind of came to a stopping point. But we used the heat to raise this dent. There's a little spot right there that didn't come out, but I mean, you can barely feel that. Probably just a primer will take care of that one. This is one of the first ones we fixed, and we're going to leave it a little bit low so we can show you how to apply some body filler. And then this one we went ahead and metal finished out, and it'll just take some primer and block. And then this one over here feels like it's ready for primer. We pretty much got it from the back side. So what we're going to do now, because we're going to be stopping, we still got this dent here we're going to have to work out, but you don't want to just leave this bare metal. It'll probably be a while before we get back to it, so I'm going to put just a little bit of self-etch on this metal areas, in a rattle can, shoot some primer, and that way it's not rusting before we get back to it. So I'll go ahead and do that, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching the video, and I would really appreciate it if you'd like this video, and if you got any questions or comments, leave us a comment, and be sure and share this with your friends.